Hello everyone. Welcome to episode 1 of Knit Chat Chow. This is a show where you join me while I do 3 of my favorite things. Knit, that's the knitting part. Talk, that's the chat part. And eat, that's the chow part. So, I don't really know how to start this because this is the first episode, but I just recently participated in Vlogtober and I really enjoyed chatting with you guys every day. So this isn't going to be every day. It's probably going to be bi-weekly. And I'm just going to talk about things that I feel passionate about. I'm going to try to keep it from being controversial because that's not really my jam. I'm not trying to be here to make waves. Some of it might be silly, some of it might be serious, but it's all going to be things that I have a strong opinion on, which is basically everything. I'm a very opinionated person. My dog is here. She's trying to get my snack. So let's just get started and hopefully she'll calm down. I also apologize because I am having a little bit of allergies today, so I'm really going to try hard not to sniffle so much. Knit, what I'm knitting on. I started a pair of vanilla socks for this episode. So it's some mindless knitting. They are for my husband. I'm knitting these on Addy 40-inch thick circular magic loop, 2 at a time, as you can see. This is Wild Hair Fiber Studios. The colorway is Sunset. It's on their Pinnacle fingering base, 75% superwash merino and 25% nylon. Chat, what I'm chatting about today. So what I'm chatting about today is popularity in the knitting community, specifically to podcasting. I've talked about this before on previous podcasts. I have a podcast. Well, I started a podcast a long time ago. I don't even know how many years ago, 5 years ago or something, like a very long time ago. And it has been intermittent. I started it with my sister. Her name is Sarah. We were the Reluctant Sisters podcast. We are actually going to be filming again. So, yeah, I've talked about it previously on my podcast, but we are going to be chatting about it a little bit today. And what I'm eating, I made the TikTok trend, pasta chips. I overcooked them, as I overcook many things. I have them in my knit mug. I got this at a local Ocean State job lot. If you're in the New England area, you know what I'm talking about. There was this feta dip that it came with, or that people made it with, but I wasn't that fancy, so I just have plain old marinara. I don't know if you guys have aversion to eating sounds, but I am going to do my best to possibly lower the volume when I'm chewing or eliminate the volume. We'll see. If I'm going to be talking to, I don't really know how much I'm going to be snacking. So I have already tried these. They're pretty good. They're very crunchy, which I like. And Liz is begging for them. Anyway, let's get to the chatting. So, the reason why I'm talking about this is because I have some podcaster friends and we have had many a discussion about how discouraging it can be when you lose viewers. I guess you lose subscribers basically because you talk about things that you want to talk about or people don't really love the content, which I don't think that's the issue, is like losing subscribers, but I think the issue is some people have been doing this for a while and it feels like other people come on the scene and they blow up very quickly. They have thousands of subscribers, and we don't really understand why. And it's not that we don't get why, or I don't get why. I'm going to try to talk about myself because this isn't anybody else's issue. It's my issue. Some people may share this issue, but I'm going to try to talk about myself. It's not that I think or that I don't understand why. Some of these podcasters are very pleasant and fun to watch and personable and things like that, but it can be discouraging when they come on the scene and very quickly gained popularity, and we're not really sure why. Should I hold my knitting up here? I'm not really sure why. We live in this age, I call it the technological revolution, kind of like the Industrial Revolution, when machinery and all of these things started to really boom, and it seemed like society advanced very quickly around these times, or this time of the Industrial Revolution. And so I am what is classified as an elder millennial, and I did kind of grow up with the internet. So the internet's been around for a long time. But we got a family computer when I was, I think, like 12 or something. So I was pretty young. And, you know, I grew up with like AOL and chat rooms and things like that. MySpace came around when I was in high school. I was not on MySpace. I have never been on MySpace. But Facebook came out after I got married. I think it might have been right before I got married, but I didn't get a Facebook until after I got married, or an Instagram until long after that. So while I did grow up with cell phones, I mean, I got my first cell phone when I was a lot older than kids nowadays getting cell phones. I got my first cell phone when I got a license, so I was 17 years old. But you know, I was very much a teenager, texting and calling, and you know, I did research papers on the internet in high school and things like that. So I did grow up kind of ish with the internet. So it's this very interesting thing. It's like this big boom. I feel like, you know, things plugged along for a while, and then when the internet came around, it was like kind of this big, huge, whole new world, right? And then social media came along, and it kind of went crazy. So we're in this situation. I guess I'm talking more too about social media, not just specifically knitting, I guess, not just specifically, but here's what I think is in any community. The general laws of society tend to infiltrate that community. So no niche is immune, I don't think, to kind of the general laws of society. So going back to my spiel about social media. So it starts to be where like, this is my life. People are putting their life out there, and how people react to their life or your life or my life kind of dictates how you feel about yourself. And people love to say that it doesn't. People love to say like, oh, you know, what's on social media is the highlight reel. It's not real life. And I think that's all well and good. And I agree with that statement. It is the highlight reel. It isn't real life, right? But it's one thing to know it in your head, and it's another thing to actually believe it in your heart. So it impacts us very deeply when people have adverse reactions to us, no reaction to us. I almost feel like a no reaction is worse than an adverse reaction. Like, I feel like no likes is worse than dislikes. You start to really feel like you're invalidated, like you don't have worth because enough people, the right kind of people, don't like your material. We're also in this age of social influencers, which I said previously, I think on my vlog. I think that it's great. I think entrepreneurship is wonderful. I think being your own boss is great. I am my own boss. I don't have a social media, like, what am I trying to say? Business. I have like a regular business, but I work for myself, and I think it's amazing. And I think when you work for yourself and you make your own money and you make your own hours and you make your own rules, I think that that is very empowering, and I think it's wonderful. I think the social media influencer entrepreneurship has so much impact. I think it has so much impact on society, more than my type of entrepreneurship. Is that the right word? I don't even know. I think it has more of an impact. I think what happens is, just like going back to the rules of society having some sort of impact on every niche community. I forgot where I was going. Oh, so what happens is there's this very elite top tier, right? So here in the United States, we don't have royalty. We have American royalty, which is basically, I think, celebrities, whether they're musical celebrities or film, TV, those types of things. Socialites, that's another thing. They're not actors or actresses or singers, but they are up there in the top tier. They're at the it parties, the it things. They're on magazine covers. They're talked about, and so what happens is because that's all you see, you start to think that is real life, or it's not real life, but it starts to feel like that is success, right? So we used to be, before social media, we used to be where we would watch TV, we would see movies, we would listen to music. And then most of our social interaction would be with like normal, regular people, like average people who we worked with, who we socialized with, that type of thing. But people live so much of their lives now on social media, where a lot of our social interaction, and I'm not trying to say like, oh, people don't know how to talk anymore or communicate because all we're doing is texting. I don't think that's necessarily that accurate. I mean, maybe it is statistically speaking, but I don't think so. But what I'm saying is we're seeing our social interactions are highly, highly curated. So then we start to think that's success, right? So we have a lot of followers, we have a lot of subscribers, that indicates success. It doesn't really matter if you have these really thriving, kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Meaningful, rich social interactions with regular, normal human beings. It's how many strangers want to see what you're doing with your life. Even with this, I was literally just texting friends and I was like, I don't know, I might punk out on this whole knit chat chow thing, just because, like, what if people hate me? I don't know. What if people hate me? What if people don't like me? It's not anything worse than I've ever been through before. I mean, does that mean that I'm unsuccessful? Not really. If I have, and I have definitely talked about this on the podcast before, because I stopped filming for a while and then came back after a prolonged period of time. And I had said that I kind of felt a little bit bad because I did have, my channel that I did start with my sister. So I do say me, but it really is us. We have over 500 subscribers. It's not thousands. No, it's not 10,000. It's not 50,000. But it's 500 people who generally on a regular basis say, like, I'm interested in what these people are doing. Why does that feel like so sad to me? Like, and that's not nice either, because there are people, and I have met people. I went to Rhinebeck and I had a couple of fans come up to me and say, hey, I watch your podcast. I was recognized by complete and total strangers. Why does that feel like so unsuccessful? So kind of gearing it now down to the knitting community, where it's, YouTube in general, YouTube specifically, where you're creative, you want to put this stuff out there, and then it feels like nobody likes you, not enough people like you. You don't have enough subscribers, you want to be really successsk and I think that there's a lot that goes into it. It's really complicated. So I think the first thing is, what am I doing this for? Why do I want to do this? Do I want to do this because I want to be social media rich? Do I want to do this because I want to quit my job and cash the YouTube paychecks from the ads and do that? I don't know. I don't think so. That was definitely not my intention, was like, I want to quit my job and this is what I want to do. But I do feel like there is a little bit there of wanting some sort of attention, wanting some sort of popularity. I was never the popular kid in school. when I was younger, I was teased. Nothing like kids are getting now as far as bullying. It's on a whole new epic level. So I would never compare my experience to them. But I was teased. I was not the popular kid. In junior high for 1 year. So where I went to school, junior high was just 7th and 8th grade. In 1 year, my first year, I was 7th grade. I think I was 8th grade was this girl who, like, I think I went to elementary school with her. But anyway, she hated me and she was on my bus and she made 1 year miserable. And then 8th grade actually wasn't too bad. It was pretty good. I had enough friends. I wasn't like popular, but I mean, I wasn't a pariah either. And then I went to high school and I went to a fairly large high school. I had about almost 600 kids in my graduating class. There's about 2,000 children who went there, kids that went there. And there wasn't really a popular, to be honest with you. It was an art school. So, I mean, it was my public school, but my husband liked to call it a prep school. It wasn't a prep school. It's privately funded public school. So if your town did not have a public school, a public high school, you were able to attend there for free. It was my public high school in my town. But there were some kids who did choose to attend that high school and paid tuition to go there because it was really good for the arts. The marching band was really good. The theater program was really good. The music, that kind of stuff was really good. So in a way, the theater kids and the band kids and stuff like that were popular in the sense that a lot of people knew them. They went to state competitions and won and all kinds of other stuff. There wasn't really like the typical popular kids that you see maybe on some sort of high school TV show or something like that. And then as far as like outcasts, there were so many kids that went there. I mean, there were tons of kids that maybe wouldn't have been popular if they were in a smaller school, but there were so many other kids like them in that school that it wasn't really, it wasn't an issue. They had plenty of friends. So anyway, this is like more of like an introspective thing. Am I searching for some sort of popularity? I guess in a way, kind of, we all are, right? We kind of all are. So is that why my 500 subscribers are so disappointing to me? And the other thing is too, is like, I hate even to say that out loud because that's not kind to say about your followers. Like, oh, well, honestly, I don't really care about you guys because I don't have 10,000 of you. Oh my gosh. Then it starts to feel like, wow, I'm kind of a jerk. But anyway, why do we place our value or our worth on what other people, complete and total strangers, think about us? Why do we do that? I don't have anything insightful to say. I'm not an expert on the topic. I'm not going to be an expert on any of the things that I talk about. I'm not even an expert on myself, frankly. I'm 36 years old and I'm still learning things about me. Maybe that's because I'm changing. Maybe it's not. Maybe I just don't really have, I don't know. You're just always learning things about yourself. So I'm not an expert on this or on anything by any means, by any stretch of the imagination, but I think it's an interesting question. The other thing is too, is when you create this, when you gain this type of following, right? And you create this kind of popularity, or you gain this type of popularity, or you create this kind of career. I mean, it does become, people's career. There are people in the knitting community who have tens of thousands of followers. They have sponsors. That's, where they get their money. And I don't know how much money it is. I mean, maybe it's enough to support themselves. Maybe they have spouses and they have a joint income. And I have no idea, actually. I have no idea. How much does somebody with 100,000 followers, which I'm not sure if I've ever watched a knitting podcast with 100,000. I did kind of do like a brief kind of like search. And I think the most I saw was probably like 50,000, above 50,000, but not 100. So anyway, I have no idea. I have no idea if this is actually their career, if it's still just a hobby for them and they get a little bit of extra money. I'm not sure. But when you create when you have that kind of following, when you have that kind of popularity, it does become your job. It becomes your job. And I don't know if I would enjoy anything that became my job. A lot of people in the knitting community too talk about like, you know, working on commission, and it's like once you start getting paid to do it, it's like you don't want to do it anymore. So it's great if it just stays a hobby. And I don't know if I want that pressure of 50,000 followers and you're constantly trying to put out content, or you're trying to make it sustainable for you, you know? And yeah, when we talk about social media influencers, which like I said, I'm not sure how many people in the knitting community are like that. I mean, there are people in the knitting community who have a lot of followers because they are designers or yarn dyers or that kind of thing. You know, Stephen West comes to mind. He writes books. Like, he has pattern books and he puts out patterns, and that's how he gets his income too. And, you know, other people who, there's other podcasters that I watch who have yarn shops and that's their income, and then they put out a podcast as well. There are podcasters who are yarn dyers, and that is their big source of income. So I'm not trying to say that this is, but you know, honestly, when you think about that, when you think about somebody who is a yarn dyer or a pattern designer, right? Your work, that's your work. You have to keep coming up with new designs and putting things out, and they seem like they love it. I'm not trying to say like this is like a slog of a job for them. Like, they seem like they really enjoy it. They love it. That's their passion. It's great that they get paid to do what they love, right? But when it comes to having a social media following, your followers to a certain extent really do dictate what you put out. If you put something out and you lose followers, you're less likely to put that kind of content out again. If you put something out and you gain followers, you're more likely to continue to put out the same kind of content. So for example, some of myself and a couple of other people I know did Vlogtober, and it was like, oh, once I started talking about this, I lost subscribers. There were other ones who said they started doing Vlogtober, and in their first couple of episodes of Vlogtober, they lost followers. Like maybe their followers don't want to watch vlogs. They just want to watch podcasts. And so you're less likely to want to continue with a vlog if you know your followers are going to drop like flies because you're not putting a podcast out. And it becomes very concerning to people. I had not podcasted in over a year, so I was not really that concerned. I had the luxury of not really caring that much. But that becomes a concern, you know, and then you start feeling like, what did I do wrong? Why don't people like me? I want to be popular like these other people. It seems like they're not really doing anything. They're not really trying. You know, not everyone can be at the top. Not everyone can have 100,000 followers. I mean, I guess you could, but here's the other thing too about subscribers. I have lots of thoughts about following, social media following. I subscribe. I have a YouTube account, like a personal YouTube account, and then I have a YouTube account that the YouTube account that this is going to get uploaded to, or this has been, because you're already watching it, right? Okay. So on my regular personal YouTube account, I have no subscribers, obviously, because I don't put any content out, and that's not the point of having a YouTube account. It's to watch other people, right? And so I subscribe. I don't even know how many channels I subscribe to, right? So I subscribe to a certain number of channels. I don't watch every single video for every single channel I'm subscribed to. I don't. There's actually plenty of things that I actually haven't watched anything in a really, really long time. I just scroll through my subscriber feed and then I skip the ones I don't want to watch, and it turns out that I haven't watched a few in a while, and maybe I'll go through and clean it out. Maybe that's what people are doing. Maybe they haven't seen me in a while, and so they're like, oh, this chick is still around. I haven't watched her in forever. I didn't even watch this crap she put out last time, and so I'm going to unsubscribe. Is that like a personal affront to me? No, not necessarily. People get bored. People get out of phases. There's lots of things that I watched a while ago. There's plenty of podcasts I started watching when I started when I started knitting, and I don't watch them anymore. I haven't watched them in a very long time. In fact, I'm not even that interested in them anymore. It's not a personal affront. They don't know me from a hole in the wall. Like, what should they care if I don't want to watch their stuff anymore? They shouldn't, frankly. The other thing that I have, like, I don't think unsubscribing is a real personal attack, to be honest with you. If you want to comment on my video, which I have never happened, that's never happened to me, that, by the way, and it may, it may happen to me after I upload this video, but I've never had anybody say to me, but I know that it happens. They will comment in the comment section, you know, I hated this, or something, I'm unsubscribing, right? Okay, so that is more of a personal attack, right? Listen, you don't like my stuff, don't like it. You don't want to watch it, but don't watch it. Why should you as a stranger feel like you're making, like, why do you have to tell me that you don't like me or why you don't like me? You wouldn't do that in person. Like if you worked with somebody, all right, so maybe working with someone, like why would you do that? Because then you have to continue to work with them, right? But if you like, let's say you are walking down the street and there is a street performer and they're singing and you don't like them. Would you go up to them and say, I think your voice is terrible, or I hate that song that you're singing, and so I'm not going to listen to you anymore. I'm going to walk away. No, who does that? Nobody does that. But for some reason on social media, on the internet, there are scores of people thinking that their opinion is just so important that you have to tell this person. Like, and they're like, maybe they're like, well, I'm just trying to help you. Why? Why do you care? Why would you want to help me? Unsubscribe. Oh, I'm just trying to let you know that me, you know, Jane Doe in Connecticut doesn't like the content you're putting out, so I'm going to unsubscribe to you. Okay. You're not giving me any money. It's not like you're a customer and now I'm like losing income. And so now I need, oh, please tell me what I did wrong because I don't want to lose money. That's like when people say stuff like, especially to places like that are big, Walmart or Target, like I will never shop here ever again. You know what? They're not hurting for your money. I'm sorry, but they're not. And I've done it too. I've done the whole thing where I've said, I will never shop here ever again. You have lost a customer. I'm going to be honest with you. I've never shopped anywhere enough where they actually felt the loss of my income. I don't make enough money to do that. So I don't shop anywhere enough to do that. They don't care. They don't care. Ulta doesn't care. And by the way, I still shop at Ulta. I had a really bad experience with Ulta one time and I was like, I'm never shopping at Ulta ever again. And you know what? I still do. So who am I kidding, right? I just don't get the point of it. Just don't get the point of it. Why do you have to tell me? And the other thing is like, have you never, like maybe these are people who have never in their life ever had anyone tell them to their face that they didn't like them. So they don't know how badly it hurts, but I have had people tell me to my face that they didn't like me. Like I was teased in school. I had people call me names literally to my face. It's hurtful. If you've ever had that happen to you, you would never do that to someone else. Like you just wouldn't. I would never in a million years ever unsubscribe to someone's channel and tell them that I did it. Or on Instagram for that matter. I've unfollowed people on Instagram. I just recently unfollowed somebody on Instagram and I really liked their content, but for some reason, so what happened was I really liked their content. And then as certain things have happened in the political climate, which I'm not political, they started to be more vocal about some of their views, which is none of my business. And I don't care. I actually don't care. You do you, boo-boo, whatever you want to do, right? And it was like, it was always here and there. Like here and there would be like, I would be watching their stories and it would be all this content, slide after slide after slide of things I like, one slide of something that I didn't necessarily agree with or I didn't like or whatever. And I didn't want to see. That's not why I come to your channel. I don't want to see this crap, right? But it is their channel. That's the key word, your channel. I didn't come to your channel to see this stuff. Well, you came to my channel and this is the kind of thing, these are the kinds of things that I post about. So then don't come to my channel. Like, I didn't come here to see this. Well, then maybe you should leave because that's what I show, right? Okay, so anyway, I'm getting off topic. it started to become more frequent, these types of things that I'm like, ugh, I just don't want to see that, you know? And I was bummed. I really like this person, but more and more I was seeing some stuff. I didn't like it. It would make me feel some type of way. So I actually unfollowed her. I did not comment on the offensive slide and say, I did not come here to see this. I came here to see makeup content. I did not come here to see your political views. It's her channel. She can do whatever she wants with it. She wants to follow her. I don't know how many followers she had, probably a few thousand. She probably had a couple thousand, right? She doesn't care. She probably gets more followers than she loses if her channel is going correctly and she's growing. You gain more than you lose, right? So what? I don't see her stuff anymore. Big deal. She doesn't care about the one follower who stopped following her. She just got 25 today. I don't know. That's my thoughts. Those are my thoughts. I don't really know what else to say about popularity. Listen, not everyone is going to be the blockbuster popular channel, right? When I went to Rhinebeck and I had a couple of people recognize me and my sister, and they say, oh, I watch, when we took selfies, it was our first Rhinebeck and we took selfies and we put them on Instagram and it was so fun, right? It was fun. We did the podcaster meetup. We met up with a couple podcaster friends that we know who were very well established, by the way. My sister was a personal friend, whatever. I haven't kept up on it, but personal friend of somebody who has 25,000 followers, right? But anyway, we did the whole shebang, right? We went there, we did the whole shebang. They're at the podcaster meetup. And I mentioned this before and somebody private messaged me and totally knew exactly who I was talking about. But it actually doesn't matter who I'm talking about. I could be talking about anybody. But there was this huge long line of people waiting in line to see them. And it just seemed so obnoxious to me. And I've said before, I'm not a fangirl. I wouldn't stand in a 2-hour-long line to meet the hottest celebrity. I wouldn't. I personally just wouldn't. That does not mean that no one should. That does not mean that no one should. If you really love that person and you want to spend your time waiting to talk to them, that is completely your prerogative. Completely your prerogative. More power to you. I'm just not that type of person, so I have a hard time relating, that's all. And I hate this thing too that people do is you go ahead and do it, but I just wouldn't do it. It sounds very judgmental. I'm really, really honestly not saying it in a judgmental way. That is not the type of person I am. Absolutely no judgment if that's the type of person you are. The reason why I'm saying it's not the type of person I am is just to reiterate that I can't relate. I just don't relate to that desire because I don't have it, but whatever. But it just felt very obnoxious to me. They didn't even do anything. They don't even do anything. And at the time they didn't. I think maybe they have designed now since then, but I don't think they did anything at the time. It's not like they dyed yarn or designed or anything. They were strictly just a podcast. And like I said, you love them, you adore them. I was actually witness to somebody saying to a podcaster friend who is, has more of a following, that she was very, very depressed. And she stumbled upon this person's podcast and she felt like it was very meaningful to her and it saved her life. I don't know if she said it saved her life, but it was very meaningful to her. And I think that that's great. I think that if you find someone on the internet that you really relate to and they speak to you and they've had some sort of positive influence on your life, I think that's really special. I think that's very special. And if you want to tell them that too, I'm sure they'd love to hear that. I'm sure it feels very good for them to hear that they've connected to somebody that they've never met before, right? But anyway, I don't even remember where I was going with this. But we did the podcast thing. I can't even remember where I was going with this. Oh, yeah. So anyway, the day before we went to India Untangled and it was crazy busy. And I actually met these podcasters that had the big long line the very next day. I didn't stand in line to meet them. I just met them. They were at the same booth and I don't think we even we chatted for a second, whatever, it doesn't matter. Well, it was very, very hot in there, and we were with a podcasting friend who has more of a following, and there was like a door to the outside and like a ramp to go down to like the parking lot area. It's kind of like the back door. It wasn't like the main entrance. So that door was open, and our friend was out there with a couple of other of that person's podcasting friends who I had never met before. And I actually didn't know. There's several very popular podcasters and people that I've never heard before. I have like friends say, oh, like this person, so-and-so, they have like, whatever, 20,000 followers. I'm like, I've never even heard of that person. So I did not know these people at all. So I was joking because one of these popular podcasters had walked by me and like basically like touched my shoulder or something to try to squeeze past me, like touch my shoulder. And I was being very silly and putting on, oh my God, they touched me. Oh, like I was just being very silly. And this female podcaster that I didn't know, I didn't even know who she was. She goes, oh, do you want me to touch you too? And I'm like, I don't know you. I don't even know who you are. And that actually really rubbed me the wrong way. Like it super felt like you're very, I don't want to say like elitist, but like, who do you think you are? Like, who do you think you are? Like, no, I don't want you to touch me. First of all, I was kidding. And second of all, are you like high on yourself or something? You're such a mega celebrity that this person touched me and I know who they are, so I automatically know who you are. I don't even know who you are. So I guess I just don't really love the whole like, I don't know. I just don't like the whole vibe of the in crowd, or the people who think that they're so popular, or the people who, what it does to somebody's ego when they have a big following, or what it does to people's personalities when they have like a big following. I don't know. So that really rubbed me the wrong way. And then there was one other thing that as I was talking, I was like, oh yeah. Oh, I was standing in line for Rhinebeck. It may have been that year, it may have been the year after, but now I can't remember. I was standing in line behind somebody who has a yarn shop who's very popular. Lots of people know them. And I, in fact, knew who they were. I've never been to their yarn shop, but I do know who they are. I think they have a podcast too, but I've never watched their podcast. And I'm not trying to be like, I don't even care about popular people. That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm just saying like, I knew who she was. She's not my jam. I'm not a fan. I wasn't anti this person by any means. I am now, but I wasn't at that point at all. It was just kind of a neutral feeling like, oh cool, yeah, I know who you are. Cool, right? But anyway, that didn't even come up. I was behind her in line. We're waiting to get in through the red barn. And she's talking and talking and talking. And there was two lines, and this young girl was there with her parents in the other line, and she was wearing a very popular designer's article of clothing. And she was like, I really want to meet this person. I'm so excited to be here. They're one of my favorite designers. I love everything they do. And I was like, oh, I hope you meet them. And this person who was standing in front of me, who owns a yarn store, knew that person personally. Oh, well, I know them. And when they come, they stay at my house, and they this and they that, and they blah, blah, blah. And I know them, and da, da, da. And they're like my kid. They're like a kid to me, and I know who they are, and they stay at my house when they come visit me, and all this stuff. Like who do you think you are? Like some special maybe you do feel special because you know this person personally, but everybody is just so human, right? Every single person on this face of the planet, mega celebrities. Angelina Jolie is coming to mind, but only because I saw something on Instagram with her in it. But anyway, even Angelina Jolie is like she's like a regular human, right? Okay. She doesn't have superpowers. She's not any specialer than anyone else. She has a talent for acting. She's a very talented actor. But she's a human being. Everybody poops, right? Okay. So she's just like a regular person. Okay. So for someone to be like, oh, I'm friends with, and I actually know somebody who's family member is in the business who knows some pretty popular people too. So like, I don't know. And they don't act like that. They don't act like, oh, I went to this mega celebrity. They were my friend and we stayed at their house and we had dinner with them. And it's like, and I'm talking like mega celebrity. I'm not talking about like a D-list celebrity. I'm like talking about a mega celebrity. And my friend does not act like that at all. She actually would be mortified if I ever even said who she was or who she knew who I'm talking about. So she's a very humble person. But anyway, this designer who's very popular is just a regular human being, and I'm glad that you're their friend. And I think it's great because everybody should have friends, but you're not specialer because they chose you out of all these little people. They chose you to be friends with. You guys just clicked. It's not that big of a deal. Like, who cares, right? Okay. So I'm like, oh yeah, that's very cool. Like, oh, cool. And I'm not like a mean person to people's faces. So I'm like letting her talk. Like, oh, how fun. Oh, that's so fun. That's so nice. How cool, right? That's fun. And she's like, yeah, when it comes to my store, when they come to my store, blah, 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 they stay with me. And I'm like, that's great. And she's like, you know who I am, right? The minute she said that, I wanted to smack her in the head. First of all, I do know who you are, and I'm so sorry that I'm not giving you the kind of attention you feel like you deserve. And second of all, if I didn't know who you were, who cares? Not everybody in the free world has to know who you are. Ugh, just really grossed me out. Anyway, I've been talking for 40 minutes. I don't really know if this has been of any value to anybody. I don't even know. Am I doing this to be of value to anybody? Not necessarily. I'm talking about something that I'm passionate about. This happens to be it. Maybe me hearing myself talk about this can help me gain some perspective on what my expectations are when I put things out into the world. Who do I think I am? Who do I want to be? Who do I want people to see me as? Why am I doing this, right? And if this has at all helped you kind of put a little bit of perspective on what your expectations are, cool. If you hate absolutely everything I said, that's fine too, because there are so many channels on YouTube. There are so many people putting content out there that honestly, if you hated everything I said, you probably didn't even make it this far. Maybe I should put this at the beginning. I won't be offended if I lose, I won't be offended if I lose 100 subscribers. Maybe if I say that enough, I will really believe it. Next thing you know, I'm going to lose 100 subscribers and I'm going to be calling my friends and be like, ah. Listen, guys, it's been real. Thanks so much for joining me. I put a little stitch marker so I could see how much I knit, and I actually did not knit. I didn't knit at all. I put a couple rows on it. Guys, it's been real. I hope you like me. If you don't, no sweat. And if there is something that you're passionate about and you want to share that with me, whether it's about this topic today or about something completely unrelated, please comment and like and subscribe. But no, like, comment below. Maybe we're passionate about the same thing. Maybe I'll talk about it in the next thing. This is the other thing too, is like, I don't think that I'm special enough to be like, if you want me to talk about what you want to talk about and you can feel special because I talked about it, that's not what I'm trying to say at all. If you feel if you feel passionate about something too, whether it's this or something else, feel free to share. Maybe we can find a new friend, maybe not, but this is who I am and this is what I got. See you next time.